I'm Jessica Hayes. I've been a makeup artist for 20 years now, and I'm going to be sharing with you my favorite makeup brushes. So as a professional makeup artist, I really do have a huge array of brushes, but I'm going to try to simplify it for you and break it down into the categories that I think are most important for everyone to have in their brush collection. So for the 3 eye essentials, I always use a flat shader, a pencil brush, and a fluffy brush. I'm going to start off with my flat shader brush. So let me show you an example of the shape of a flat shader. Usually it's thin through the center here and nice and flat and wide on this part right here. Also, for the most part, a flat shader brush will be medium firm. I have a few different shapes and sizes and also price range as well. You'll see a lot of my favorite brushes are from Cozzette. They are definitely hands down one of my favorite brush lines. When I switched over from natural hair brushes, which means real animal fur brushes, I completely filled my kit with all Cozzette brushes, and that's where I started off with my vegan brush collection. So this is the D225 from Cozzette, which is a little bit shorter and it has a really nice firmness to it. These flat shader brushes are what you would use to pat and press eyeshadow on the lid of the eye. You can also use the tip of it to do underneath the eye as well, and also some crease work. This Cozzette number 5 brush is a little bit thicker along the tip here, so if you want a slightly more blown out underneath, you can use it for that. And it just has a nice chubby little stance for the lid of the eye. I also have quite a few brushes from e.l.f. and this is a really good flat shader brush. You can see it's a lot more wide through the center here, but this is a really good affordable flat shader brush if you don't feel like investing in brushes right now. And saying that, brushes are an investment. It is the thing that makes your makeup from like average to professional. And this one is the Sigma Soft Focus Shader E52. This is just a little bit wider. If you have like a bigger eyelid and you just want to pat it on even quicker, or you've got more of a large surface like your upper brow bone, this is a really good flat shader brush as well. Moving along to a pencil brush is what I mean when I say pencil brush. It has a really pointed dome tip. These are really good if you want to do a super defined crease, maybe the inner corner of the eye. Usually I will use it to lay my product underneath the eye before I blend it. So this little pencil brush, this is called Smudge, and this one is from e.l.f. One is the Sigma pencil. I also have one from Cozzette that's a little bit bigger, which I do usually like a bigger one for underneath the eye because I really like a blown out grungy look underneath my eye. I cannot for the life of me find that Cozzette one, but I will make sure I link it all in the description below. Next, moving along to fluffy brush. This is probably my favorite brush category. When I first started doing makeup, because we didn't have things like YouTube, I literally was using like flat shaders to do my eyeshadow, and then when I discovered a blending brush, I was like, oh my gosh, life completely changed. As you can see, I use a lot of different shapes and sizes of blending brushes. The one that I gravitate towards the most is this Cozzette S175 brush. A lot of the time when I'm doing cream clays, I'll just pat them on the lid with my finger and then blend it through the crease of the eye with this brush. You can see this brush has a slight little tip on the end of it, so it makes it really nice for allowing it to stick and sit in your crease right here, and then the bulb of the brush is going to slowly blend out your eyeshadow just like so. I would say this Cozzette S175 brush is probably my ride or die blending brush. If you're already done with blending and you want to blend out like a little patchy part or something, I like a really domed fluffy brush. This one doesn't have a point on it at all. So say you needed to blend out the corner of your eye right here, you will use a big, fat, fluffy, domed blending brush for that. These ones aren't as good or precise for getting right into the crease because you can see it kind of goes onto my lid and onto my brow bone because it doesn't have that little tip like the Cozzette one, but these are still definitely needed for blending out those edges as well. This is the BK Angie Hot and Flashy A503 brush. Another Cozzette brush that I love, this is the D220. You can see it's a lot smaller than the S175. So if you want to do a little bit more of a precise blend, you can use this smaller brush. It also has that tiny little tip on it as well. This is really good for blending into the inner corner of the eye and also for doing that blended blowout underneath the eye. If you want it smaller though, this Cozzette brush, this is the number 10 brush from the Infinite Black collection, but I also use the, here it is, S185 brush a lot as well. These are very fine, fluffy blending brushes. Also good for the inner corner of the eye, maybe for just doing a very precise little blend in the crease, and also amazing for blowing out underneath the eye as well. This Delium Tools 785 brush is another one that's got that big dome fluff on the top, also good and soft at blending out any unblended bits up along here. If you were looking at only getting 3 brushes for the eyes, I would definitely go with a pencil brush, a fluffy blending brush, and a flat shader brush. You can basically do everything you want with these 3 brushes. So those are the 3 essentials, but obviously as a makeup artist, I have many more to show you. Obviously, angle brushes are super important as well. We use these for brows, we use these for liner. We can use them for underneath the eye if you want something a little more sharp and precise. I have quite a few favorites. I think most of you know about my ordeal with the About Face wingtip brush. I'm absolutely obsessed with this brush for liner. This is how I did this nice flat wing here. This brush is never in stock anymore. I'm trying to find a dupe for it, I promise. Another one that I absolutely love, also from the Cozzette Infinite Black collection. This is the number 11 brush. I've never seen anything else like it. It has more of a fatter, wider angle to it. This one is so good if you want to do a really precise crease, also for underneath the eye and also for smoking out liner on the top of the eye. I actually just realized I don't really have any brushes that are appropriate for doing the eyebrows anymore. I barely ever use powder or pomades to fill the brows in anymore, so I don't really have those skinny angle brushes that you would use to do this. Another great one, this is the BK and Nikki LaRose brush. This one, I'm sure you could actually use that to do your eyebrows. This is a nice, fine, more flat little angled brush. I love using this to do a little smoked out liner on the corner. Moving along to face brushes, this one is my newest obsession. This is from Anissa Beauty. This is the Pinnacle foundation brush. I love the shape of this brush because of the little triangular tips. You can use it to really get up into places rather than the specific round ones that I've been using in the past. I also really like a flat, firm foundation brush because I'm used to pressing and bouncing my foundation into the skin like that. Moving along to blush and contour brushes, I've been loving this Nikki LaRose. This is the multi-use face brush. I love how it's double-sided. I'll use my cream blushes on this side and then I use this side for powder. It's nice and small so I can get up nice and close to the eye. Usually I always go towards a smaller powder brush, always. I prefer a precision powder placement, meaning I usually only use it in the center of my face. It's been years since I've used something this big to put powder all over my face. I just barely use these brushes anymore. I also love this Cozzette S135 brush. I use this one for powder, I use this one for blush. It's a little too big for me personally for contour though. For contour, I usually use something a little bit smaller and dome shaped like this because I feel like it fits really nicely into the cheekbone without your contour getting too wide. So a smaller, more precise contour brush is the go for me at least. This little one here is the BK and Nikki LaRose N14 brush. I also love this Jenny Patinkin Blend and Set brush, also a similar shape. This one has a little bit more of a point to it. And then this BK Beauty 110 brush. I've been using this for contour and blush as well. You can use more of the tip of it for contour and you can use the rounder side of it to pat your blush on too. This is the Cozzette S165 brush. I do love this one for setting my eyelids with translucent powder because it's small but also not too big for that area. It's also a really nice powder highlight brush as well, just for this little area right here. For cream blush, when I'm doing a little bit more of a bigger placement, I love this Anissa Beauty Angled Cream Blush Brush. So I'll use this with a cream blush just up here on the temples and wrapping around down to the halo of the cheek. This Cozzette S140 brush is also really good for a specific powder placement as well, because it's nice and small. Not too small, but not too big, so you can get up underneath the eye and do a little bit more of a precise powder placement. Last but not least, concealer brushes. I cannot live without a concealer brush. I can live without putting on my concealer without a concealer brush, but I use concealer brushes so much for blending my eyeshadow. It's not even funny. Once you've got concealer on this is almost like a little eraser for any little blend outs that you need to do with concealer. You need to tidy up your winged liner. You need to blend this out a little bit. You need to re-zhuzh underneath the eye. I absolutely love the shape of an angled concealer brush. This is the Anissa Beauty Angled Concealer. Just the shape of it fits really nicely underneath the eye. This one here, the House Labs concealer brush, is another favorite as well. As soon as I got it, I bought another one because I was just so obsessed with the shape of this and the nice soft bristles. These are both a pretty similar shape. Also really good at getting underneath the eye, but they're both a nice firm consistency as well. So when you're doing that concealer, you can kind of press and bounce it onto the face like that. That is my brush collection. I probably have, I'm not even kidding, I'm not even going to tell you how many more brushes I have because I didn't want to overwhelm everyone with all of the possibilities of brushes, but I will say brushes are an investment. They're an important investment as well. Many of these brushes, like the Cozzette ones I had when I switched over to vegan beauty, I've had for like 9 years now and they are still going strong. So if you buy really good brushes, I'm not saying spend tons of money, especially when you're buying vegan brushes. They're not as expensive as the animal fur brushes. They're a lot kinder as well, obviously. If you do a little bit of investment, you're going to have really good quality brushes. You can tell the difference with a good quality brush. You will find that this little part of the brush, the ferrule, won't start to wiggle after a while. They're just going to hold up a lot better with wear and tear over the years. If you're just looking for a few eye classics, I recommend those 3 eye brushes that I showed at the beginning. Cozzette also has the Infinite Black brush collection, which is a really good choice as well. If you're feeling a little bit confused and you want more than just some eye brushes and you don't know where to begin, I will link everything down below for you. I need a glass of water because I feel like I've been chatting about brushes for half an hour. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this little tour of my brushes and that you've found it helpful. As always, if you have any questions or you didn't find what you were looking for out of the brushes and the ones that I showed you, please ask your questions below and I'm always happy to help you find your new vegan favorite brush.